Hello everybody, Matthew Armstrong here on day 49 of our 90-day transformation process from mediocrity to mastery. And what we're talking about at the moment is leadership, expanding your influence through leadership, right? Leadership is an important skill to learn in life. It's not only a skill, it's an identity. It's taking on the identity of a leader, and we're going to go into some depth in that. In our book, The Values Factor by Dr. John Demartini, you can get your book at drdemartini.com. If you haven't already got that, we're on page 303. But before we delve into the book, I'm just going to tell you a little story about my own transformation into leadership, because I would have been someone who didn't see themselves as a leader at all, because my perception was that leaders were people who were loudmouths, who were some way like arrogant, who were bossy and controlling. That was my idea of what a leader was. Someone whose voice you heard over everybody else's and told everybody what to do, you know. And so I thought, well, that's not me, you know. I don't need to stand up and say, hey, everybody, do this or whatever. So that was my perception of what a leader was, you know, which was incorrect as it turned out. But because of that, I never looked for like leadership positions when I was younger, because I thought, well, that's just not me. I'm not cut out for that sort of thing. And something happened. When I was in the Royal Marines Commandos, I went on a reconnaissance leaders course, a very specialised, very intense and very difficult course. And I went on it when I was very young. I was 20. I didn't see myself as a leader, but I was on this course, right, because I wanted to get into recce troop. I want to get into the reconnaissance troop. And so I did this course called the Recce Leaders course, which even just to get on it, very few people get on it, but I was very fortunate that some of the officers I did some things that the officers then favoured me for, because of I was involved in an operation where I was involved in a firefight, and I got a commendation for it and things like that. So I got to go on this course when I was very young, and I was only, I think, 20 years old when I went on this course. And the culmination of it was an exercise out in the field, and the exercise was to you know, go undercover, you know, very stealthy. And our objective was to go to this old farmhouse in the hills and to put an observation post in and to observe it for a number of days and report back everything that was happening at this farmhouse. That was really our mission. And to my surprise, I was given the role as leader of our small unit that was going there. So it was a four-man team, and I was given the role as leader of that team, as the commander of it. And there's me at 20 years old, and there was a couple of guys in my team who were at least 10 years older than me and had done roughly 10 years experience. And there's me with my 2 years military experience, and there's them with their 10 plus years experience, and suddenly I'm leading them in this exercise. So I couldn't work out why I was given the role as leader for this exercise when I was clearly the youngest, most inexperienced guy that was there, and because I didn't see myself as a leader. So I was given that role anyway, and what transpired over the next few days was very interesting for me and my perception of myself and what I was capable of. Because as we went in there, I didn't want to be the arrogant leader that just told everyone what to do. I wanted to have everyone involved in the decision making, right? And so when I was making a decision, if anyone objected, I said, okay, well, what do you think we should do? And what it turned out was I got swayed by the opinions of others in the team. And I thought, well, these are the experienced guys, these are the older experienced guys, surely they must know better than me, right? And that's what I thought. So any time I made a decision, and they're like, no, that's no good, we must do this. And so one of the things was, we got to this old farmhouse, we found it, and there was real play enemy out there looking for us, so we had to be really undercover and everything, and really stealthy. And I wanted to set up this observation post, which was completely camouflaged, close to the farmhouse, so we could have full view of the road and different routes in and out and everything, so we could report back. So I said, okay, I think we should put the post here. And they said, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. This is much too close, much too close. You'd never put an observation post in so close to a target or an objective. And what if you have to call in an airstrike, and you know you're going to get caught up in it? And I was like, well, what should we do? We need to put it right back up on top of the hill. Well, okay. You guys must know best. So we went back and put it on top of the hill. Our position was very difficult, camouflaged up there. We didn't have eyes on the road anymore. So we put it up there anyway. I thought, well, these guys must know best, right? And so then it turns out, halfway through the exercise, one of the training team kind of snuck up on us and said, look guys, what are you doing back here? We're like, well, our observation post. He said, look, there's been vehicles going in and out, you've been missing them. You've been missing reporting back the information. He says, you're right out in the open out here. He says, come with me. You need to put your observation post in down here. And he brought us back right to the spot where I wanted to put it. He said, that's where you should have had it there. And so then for the remaining 24 hours of the exercise, we set up there our observation post. So that was a learning in itself, right? So then coming out of the exercise, we got called out, pull out, pull out. And so we were basically going back to our rendezvous point. It was night time, and one of the stipulations was stay off the tracks. Stay off the tracks, possible ambushes on tracks. This is the information we got sent. So I was taking our group map reading off the tracks, going over the field, going in the tree line and everything. And the guy said, what are you doing? The exercise is over. Let's just head up the track. It's the middle of the night. What if we fall down a ditch or something? And I was like, well, you know, what about ambushes, etc.? They're like, no, the exercise is over. We got told to pull out. We just need to get back to that rendezvous. Let's go up the track. Well, and I was like, oh, okay, you guys obviously know best. You know, so I'm thinking, you guys know best. You're the more experienced guys. Sure, you know, I don't want to be the arrogant leader who just, you know, just does what he wants. And so I was sure, okay then. So we marched on up the track and walked straight into an ambush. In the middle of the night, somebody opened fire on us, obviously not real rounds, but flashing lights. And there were special drills when you got into an ambush that you did. So you turn to who's firing, you go down on one knee, you shoot, the front guy would run back, and while you keep on shooting, you're covering each other, pepper potting back, you know, and out of the ambush area. So we got opened up on a real surprise when like 20 guys to your left, about 5 meters, suddenly open up on you. It's a real shock. So I turned, went down on one knee to shoot, and everybody else turned into headless. The other 3 guys turned into headless chickens and started running in different directions. One guy just tripped over because he was running sideways like a headless chicken, and they all just like went in different directions. They didn't follow the drill at all. So I'm down on one knee shooting, waiting for the guy to run back, and he just disappears in a different direction. And so anyway, so I was like, well, this isn't working. So I got out of there anyway. We found each other up on a hill, and then got back to the RV point. So anyway, because of that whole thing, we failed the exercise because of that, which looked bad on me because I was leading the exercise. I was making the decisions where we put the observation post, what tracks we march up on or not. So it all came back on me. So I only just scraped through that course because of failing the exercise. I only just scraped through it. Got into my recce troop and everything, which was great, but that was like a black mark on my name there. This guy's not a good leader. You know, he made all the wrong decisions. But my decisions were based on what the other guys, who obviously had more experience than me, thought in my team, right? So this gave me a shift in my own belief about myself, my own belief as, you know, my capabilities as a leader. And I thought, well, what if I just stuck to my decisions in that exercise? What if I had courage in my own convictions? And if I would have done, that exercise would have gone great, would have passed out flying colours, right? And then I sort of thought, well, maybe just because someone's got more experience than me, maybe they don't know best always. Maybe because they're older than me, maybe they don't always know best. So quite often that can be the case, but maybe not always. Maybe I'm more capable than I think I am. Maybe I have more skills and I'm a better leader than I actually think I am. And I just haven't been allowing myself to be that. And so I had these realizations, so my failure as a leader actually allowed me to become a better leader, if that makes sense to you. Because I suddenly saw that, wow, yeah. And so I was putting these other guys up on this pedestal. These guys had like 10 years experience, they were much older than me. Because when you're 20 years old, someone who's 28 or 30 or 32 or something like that, you know, they're like, you almost see them as like double your age or something, you know. And so I was like, okay. So it gave me more of a belief in myself, and it changed my self-image of myself. So even though it was a failure, I could see that it was only a failure because of my lack of belief in myself, and it made a shift in me. It made a shift in me, and I saw then that, oh well, there is a real leader in me, and it's in everybody. That leader is in everybody, right? And it's just finding it within yourself. You know, what is it? You know, what is it that you're really inspired by, right? Because obviously that my story is something when I was in the military, but for whatever it is in your life, you know, what are you really inspired by? You know, get specialized knowledge in that. You know, learn how to speak and be confident with that. And as you get specialized knowledge in something, you become more confident at it, right? And then you're able to speak about it. So a leader is someone who is able to communicate well, is able to speak, and at the same time, you don't have to be arrogant about it, or you don't have to be a loudmouth, or you don't have to be controlling, right? So it's important, if you want to expand your influence, if you want to, you know, go from mediocrity to mastery, then leadership is a key component to doing that. So you must find that leader within you and bring it out, right? And really, it's the person with the most certainty. You know, certainty is a very important trait of a leader, to have certainty, yeah, because that's what I didn't have back then. Back then, when I was out there with those other guys, I didn't have the certainty. I thought, yeah, this made sense to me, but suddenly their certainty overcame my doubt, my lack of experience, right? And so I was dictated by their certainty, not by my own. But if I was absolutely certain, so just as in my experience again, because of my failure in that, my certainty would have been so much higher, right? So you must develop, to be a leader, you must develop certainty, because people are attracted to certainty, you know? People want reassurance, people want to know, because people are in uncertainty, right? So they get attracted to a leader because the leader has certainty, right? A leader has initiative. That's another thing I learned is noticing other people who didn't have initiative. I noticed that, wow, I seem to have a lot of initiative around things. There's people who I thought were better leaders than me, and then I realized that they don't seem to have much initiative, right? They seem to need to be told what to do. So they were more like managers than leaders, right? Where they needed to be instructed what to do and what to tell other people to do, where they didn't seem to have initiative. So initiative is another important trait of a leader. And initiative is really just be able to think for yourself, not just waiting for other people to tell you what to do, but actually just thinking and working things out yourself, and then taking action on that. Very important traits of leadership. So let's get into the book now, shall we? And let's see what Dr. Demartini has to say. Manifesting your authentic leader, page 303. If you avoid your own leadership potential, you'll probably hold yourself back from your greatest service and accomplishments. You'll probably perceive yourself to be a follower more than a leader. You'll probably view yourself as worth less than others and thereby lessen your social influence. You'll probably tend to subordinate yourself to others and live in their shadow. You'll reduce the likelihood of leaving a legacy. You'll probably give yourself less permission to make a big difference in the world. You'll probably be less clear about your social cause or mission. You'll probably be vulnerable to victim mentality rather than embracing victory mentality. You'll probably stand down more than stand up and stand out. You'll probably let others become the authors of your life. If you align your intentions and goals with your highest values and link your actions to your mission for leadership, you'll be more likely to. And by the way, just reading of that list there, before I had my realization through doing the exercise, that would have been me. I was subordinating myself to others, thinking that they just knew better than me. Sometimes people do, but often the truth lies within us, right? So, if you align your intentions and goals with your highest values and link your actions to your mission for leadership, you will be more likely to initiate social causes, communicate with and inspire people, lead and influence, transcend the distractions and influences of others. That's an important one, right? Transcending the distractions and influences of others. Wow. Different scales of time and space. Now, as I've been saying, everybody has vast potential, but that doesn't mean everybody recognizes their potential, acknowledges it, or wakes it all up. People wake up their potential for leadership to varying degrees, which is why our corporations and our governments are hierarchically tiered. Which scale do you operate on? You might lead a household, a homeowners association, a community or district, as city councillor, as mayor, as governor, as congressperson, as senator, as president, prime minister, or equivalent. Each of these leaders has experienced different degrees of emergence and realization of their potential. It is the same thing in business. You might lead as a factory worker, supervisor, low-level manager, middle manager, upper manager, CEO, visionary, sage. It simply depends on whether you allow yourself to honor your great inner potential. The difference between becoming a sage and a factory worker has a lot to do with how well you know what your highest values are and how well you start organizing your life to live according to them. People in higher positions of leadership are masters of the art of delegating lower priority tasks. And so as they emerge into their potential, they move rapidly through the chain of authority and rise up in the game of leadership, shedding branches of their mighty tree along the way. They let go of lower priorities so that they can get on with their highest priorities, those most congruent with the highest values. For some people, the potential for great leadership is there, but because they are not honoring their own highest values, the probability of them realizing their leadership potential is low. After all, how can you be a great leader when you keep subordinating yourself to outside authorities and social idealisms that surround you, rather than living by your own highest values? Once you give yourself permission to define your direction of leadership, you are then able to lead and to shine. The key, as always, is to begin living according to your highest values, to begin living consciously with congruency and integrity. That is how you increase the probability of bringing forth your great inborn leader. At every level of leadership, you will experience a differently sized space and time horizon. In fact, your ability to see things in terms of larger horizons is one of the key factors enabling you to rise higher levels of leadership. Let's say that you're a factory worker on the shop floor. You'll probably have a short time horizon and a small space horizon. You'll likely think in terms of hours and days, and you will bring order and organization to a small space. As a general rule, your sphere of influence will generally be smaller. Now, if you're a supervisor, your time horizon is probably week to week, and you probably govern a little more space and bring order and organization to a somewhat wider area. Lower management thinks in terms of month to month. Their space horizons are slightly wider. Middle management thinks in terms of year to year. Their space horizons are wider still. Upper management sees things in terms of decade to decade. They have greater space horizons than any of the levels below them. A CEO might view life in terms of generations, and of course, their space horizon extends into every part of the globe where their company does business or might someday aspire to do business. A visionary might run a giant corporation that owns several subsidiaries, each with its own CEO. The visionary's time horizon extends from generation to a century. They can envision their company into the next century as they ensure that it will have some sort of longevity. They think in terms of the entire planet, usually in a very in-depth way. The sage thinks in terms of centuries or even millennium. They think outside the terrestrial sphere. I've met some people on that level. Sometimes they even think in terms of eternity. With regard to space horizons, they think in terms of the astronomical. So the magnitude of space and time within your innermost dominion, dominant thought, determines the level of conscious evolution you have mastered. Let me read that again. So the magnitude of space and time within your innermost dominant thought determines the level of conscious evolution you have mastered. How big a game are you playing? If you're a visionary and you try to talk to the factory worker to tell them about the vision that you're planning over the next century, all they're interested in is making sure that they have food for the day or possibly the week. Their time horizons simply don't extend out to where the visionaries does. Not that they don't want to hear about the vision, but they won't relate to it. As you go down in the scale of time and space horizons, people want more immediate gratification. They live by more impulse, instinct, and passion, rather than according to their inspired mission. As you go up, you'll find people who are willing to embrace even greater pains and pleasures, eases and difficulties, challenges and supports, and ever-growing labels of villain and hero, sinner and saint, or vicious and virtuous, to achieve their ever more effective, empowering, and inspiring causes. Every time you set a clear intention or a goal that is congruent with your highest values, you will walk your talk, gain certainty, and grow. You will also tend to set the next goal even bigger. You tend to give yourself permission to expand, to see things in an even longer term, to create a longer, bigger vision. This is a spontaneous evolution because your innermost nature yearns to keep expanding. Nobody wants to shrink. Nobody gets up and says, I want to be less spiritually aware, less mentally aware, less financially aware, less aware of family, less socially aware, less aware of my wellness, less aware of my career. Everybody wants to expand their horizons. They want to expand their sphere of awareness and influence. That is why I don't recommend going to a shrink. I recommend going to a stretcher. One of the greatest ways I know of it to expand your horizons is to begin to delegate to others whatever tasks that are not inspiring and that are not of highest priority to you, so that you can focus on only the most productive, profitable, meaningful, and inspiring activities. Use the following exercise to learn more about delegating. Okay, we're going to finish up there. So tomorrow we're going to go through this exercise and also the 5 S's of leadership, which are really, really interesting. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for that. Thanks for joining me today. If you're looking for a vehicle for financial freedom, and not just that, for leadership, a leadership program, then you want to click on the link below, enter your details and gain more information about that. And if you just want to get on my subscriber list, then click on the link below, put in your email address, and you'll receive regular updates and a lot of cool stuff coming from me as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.